You can still be serious and have a newborn baby in the room with you.
Yeah. Thank you for that reminder.
Oh, yeah.
For any other woman or anyone listening to this.
Like your little nugget could be here now.
He will be.
Yeah.
He will probably be on a lot of these episodes.
There you
with
go.
Me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's an entirely different season for me, but a place that I feel like so honored, first of all, to have the ability, because so many women don't. So thank you for that, God. But also that I have been in the hustle and I have done all of these things to build my businesses to a place that now I get to truly pause and be a very present mom. It makes me so emotional to like be in a place where I truly have the space that I can be a mom and I don't have to do any of these things, but I also get to.
There's more women now hosting these events too that know that babies are going to be there.
Mm-hmm. What is going on, Savages? And welcome back to another episode on the Business Savage podcast. I am your host, Cassandra Britton. I am here today with a very special guest down here in the States, but originally from Canada, Renee Warren. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, super excited that we were able to make this work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You'll hear it come through. Let's give a formal introduction to Renee and this incredible lineup of accomplishments. I'm super excited to dive into this story. Award-winning entrepreneur, angel investor. Yes, I'm out of breath. 28 weeks today. Author and host of a top-rated podcast, Into the Wild, which I also had the opportunity of being on, which empowers women to grow their fierceness needed to step into their greatness. With an extraordinary gift in bringing out the best in others, what a beautiful skill, she created the Pink Skirt Project, which we will talk about today, which is coming up shortly, so you can still get in, where ambitious women come together to redefine success and rise together. She's now on a mission to transform how women step into their power and make their mark on the world. Renee has been in Forbes, Business Insider, and Entrepreneur. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks for forcing me to come all the way to Austin to the show.
That's really why she's here.
Yes.
It's the real reason, has nothing to do with everything else going on in your life.
I just love when it just works out like this.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah.
Serendipitous. And when you call it in, it just happens.
Mm-hmm.
Like even all the things, but on the drive in here, my husband, Dan, he was at a racetrack. 'Cause I don't know, he loves to drive the supercars. And he called me up and he goes, "You wouldn't believe who I'm hanging out with today." I was like, "Well, who are you hanging out with?" He goes, "The founders of Bloom." And I've been putting Bloom collagen stuff into my coffee. I have like the creatine, the electrolytes. And I'm like, I know this stuff's not available in Canada. So I'm panicking how I'm going to ship all the stuff home. And he's like, "I met them and they're going to send you stuff." I'm like,
amazing.
What are the chances?
Yeah.
Because even this morning, and while he was talking to me, telling me this, my dream car, this car that I've wanted forever, that's very rare, pulled up right behind me. It's a Chevelle SS, a 1970 Chevelle SS, so like a muscle car. I believe these are all signs from the universe. So just like if you believe it and you tell yourself the story that you can have it, it will appear somehow in some form.
What a beautiful start and a beautiful segue into what we're going to chat about, because you have accomplished things that I'm going to say most women only ever dream of. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a big one.
I'd like to think that.
Take a deep breath. It's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe you just need me to remind you of that.
Yeah, that's probably it. I need a reminder.
Yeah. And so today I want to talk about the real. I want to talk about the raw. We've done a lot of beautiful, fancy, flashy things, and that's all very beautiful. But there was a woman behind all of that, and a story behind all of that, and triggers behind all of that, and traumas to your degree and your level behind all of that. One of the things that we were briefly talking about before we hit record was how beautifully you have cultivated a relationship with your husband, Dan.
Yeah.
And I know that you both have been sharing quite a bit about that recently, and it's been really inspiring to me. I recently got married a couple of weeks ago.
Oh my God. This is recent.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago. And that's a whole story, but I just very strongly resonate with what you guys are sharing in terms of choosing each other every day and doing the work individually to come together. And so I would love to start with what you were kind of just briefly sharing about how you have come to such a beautiful place in your marriage and into your relationship today.
Well, when Dan and so you have to understand my husband. So for those who don't know him, Dan Martell, he wrote the book, Buy Back Your Time.
Great book.
But we've been together for 15 years now. So We've been on this journey together of growth, personal growth, professional growth, as a relationship. And he's like the type A go, go, go. He's like the kind of person who would need to have a social event every day of the week.
Okay.
I'm like a 1 day a week kind of gal.
Okay.
And
Are you
then,
a little bit more introverted?
oh yeah.
Okay, me too.
And then I'm reserved. And that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So when we first started, it was me, the entrepreneur, Dan, the entrepreneur, doing long distance relationship. And I describe it as this kind of competitive divorce energy. We came together. But because we had long distance relationship, it's kind of like it still had fire because every time we saw each other, it was like intense for a week, which was probably to our advantage. And then we were only dating for a year and a bit. And then I got pregnant with our first son, Max. And I was 31 years old. So all of a sudden this thing happened. So we never really got to be together. And all of a sudden we became parents. So we've been parents more than we've been dating. And it tested us a lot. And it tested our skills as leaders. It tested our skills as like partners. And growing up in very different households too, I brought to the table what I thought were the values that we had to live by because I had a great childhood. So why don't we just duplicate that? Carbon copy how I was raised, then everything will be perfect. I failed to understand that he was coming in with different stories, different experiences, different values, different ideas of how we can raise a family. And so it was like we really butted heads. And we kept looking at our relationship like me versus you. Like you get to go away. You get to be with all these great people. I have to stay at home with the kids. So I formed this resentment. And I don't know that about him. Then we did the work. And the work was really years and years. But the work involved holding up a mirror and saying, what about the situation is on me? Turns out it was everything. Everything. I was always 1 foot out the door. So, my bag's kind of packed because I was sure he was going to break my heart or do something really stupid. So if I was already invested in leaving, he can't break my heart. And then I have a quick exit, which my spiritual therapist brought to me and said, you do realize you're not fully committed. And I said, well, I have babies with him. We're married. Of course I'm fully committed. She's like, no, you're not. If you can fully commit to him and really trust that it is in your best interest for your heart, for your soul, for your family, and know that he's not going to be malicious, everything will start to come together. And it did. And so anytime there was an issue in our relationship, instead of looking at it being his fault, the fact that he wasn't doing the things I expected, but it was on me to not be triggered by these things, it changed everything. Wow. I even noticed this driving. I used to get like road rage. Now I'm like, whatever, you go ahead of me. Because they're probably got to go somewhere important and I don't even know. So doing that work and having that be like setting this beautiful foundation for our marriage ended up making parenting easier, having those tough conversations with other people 10 times easier, driving on the highways in Austin a heck of a lot easier. And we work at it every day. And every week we meet and every quarter we go away. It's like we don't give up dating each other. Actually, after this, I'm buzzing downtown to go and hang out with him, to go out for dinner. And like, so I'm like, I just want to hang out here with you and like do all these things. And he goes, we got to prioritize the marriage.
Each other.
Sometimes you sit there and you're like, what are we going to talk about? You don't have to say anything. Just being with each other is often enough what you need to just heal some part of you. So we've put in so much time and we've had the grossest fights and we've had the most like the terrible things we've said to each other in those tough moments of being pregnant. Yeah. And now me going through like midlife stuff. It's all worth it. It's all worth it. And now we're landing in this season that's just like, it's so cool. It's so cool. It's like we dreamed of these moments in terms of like our personal growth, our success, as well as what it's like to be a partner. And now to be in it, we wake up every morning and we're like, pinch me, is this real? Like we have so much gratitude for where we've come and for the people in our lives. And it's the most exquisite place.
How beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I hear a lot of in there is ownership. which is arguably one of the most important skills, I think, as well, to transfer over to business. True success in business is radical ownership and being able to say, like, hey, I messed up. Where are there opportunities for me to grow? That I resonate so strongly with what you're saying, and I haven't been married for as long as you, but a couple of weeks in. But even for us to get to the place that we are at today, it was radical ownership of, and I was the same, one foot out the door. The other piece of that I hear, and maybe this feels like a good segue into the Pink Skirt Project, it feels like it could be, is the masculine and the feminine. And what I hear in that, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I resonate with what you said there about coming from this place of almost like protection and almost like wearing an armor and coming into it wanting so desperately love, but still protecting yourself from it. And so we're kind of checked out because it's like, it's easier to leave if, that armor's up and I've got me. I don't have to fully rely. I'm struggling right now on potentially taking some time off without knowing if money's going to come in right away and relying that he's got us, even though he does.
Yeah.
But I'm in that place. And so there's a bit of surrender that had happened for you. And there was a lot of feminine energy that you had to allow come in.
That was huge. Dan thought he was falling in love with this idea of the female entrepreneur. And he's like, yeah, that's cool. Then we can have the conversations. We talk about business. And if I have to work late, I don't have to make up excuses.
She gets it.
She gets it.
Yeah.
But also what comes with that hustle and drive is a lot of masculine energy. A masculine man is not attracted to that.
Right.
And also a woman can't feel safe if she's always in her masculine.
Can you look at the camera and just say that again? For every woman, like boss bitch era right now that's in her hyper masculine.
Yeah. It's the reason, like, when you and I were speaking about the color pink, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
How we had this aversion to pink is it meant femininity, and you had other experiences, but also meant, like, if pink is feminine and feminine is weak, I'm not wearing pink.
Right.
And I'm trying to change that.
Right.
But going back to the relationship, it's really about if a woman can be in her feminine. I'm not saying like it's not female, male, it's the feminine energy. It means that she feels safe. And let me tell you, when a woman feels safe, she is the most exquisite thing. She is gracious. She is a great mother. She's a great partner. She's an incredible community person. She's a leader. Whatever she is doing, she can do it really well. When a woman feels safe, she can be in her feminine. What happens now is in our society, there's so much expectation from a woman to be providing and doing all the things, like being the mom and providing financially and doing all this, that she's operating too much in this hustle mode. And now marriages are falling apart. And it's not just because of this, but our society has now said, well, you're contributing if you go to work and you have a paycheck, but also you have to do everything at home too. Meanwhile, nothing changes for the masculine, right? Nothing changes for the men. Now, the women, especially entrepreneurs, have to operate in the masculine, and that's okay. But overdoing it is intoxicating, and you don't want to be that. And I was like that.
Me too.
I was like gyrating. I was like, oh, I have to like close these big deals and have these tough conversations and like help these people land a deal to raise money. And it was great, but it was way too much of my time, and my energy was focused on that. Yeah. So I got home at the end of the day, I was exhausted and like no libido. I was just didn't feel sexy, exhausted, and it was part of the detriment to part of our relationship. Like even raising kids, and it wasn't the example for my boys. They say the best example that you can teach your boys when they're young is the way that the father treats the mother, because that's the example they see. They know it. Like the most education they get is from home.
Right.
They go to school, whatever, they learn their ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, but their education's happening at home. And so for me to be in my feminine more really helped our relationship. It helped me.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I didn't have to try. I was just being me. Imagine that.
Yeah.
A day you wake up and you're like, Like even today, I was like, I don't want to get out of bed, and I'm not going to. I don't have meetings till 11. Why am I going to get up at 5 a.m.? I'm going to post something on Instagram to say I was up at 5 a.m. hustling. Like, who cares?
Right.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Dan operates that way.
Right.
He naturally wakes up. That's great. And he just leaves me alone. And then there are seasons when I'm like up at 5 or 5:30 doing my thing, but I'm not in that right now.
Right.
And I'm still just as productive. It's just that my days are later.
Right.
It's like 8 p.m. No big deal. But that's like a big reason why I wanted to start the Pink Skirt Project too, was to actually give women the permission, like, to not stop themselves from just being who they are.
So let's talk about what the Pink Skirt Project is. It's an event coming up June 12th.
Yeah.
Kelowna,
BC.
Tickets still available?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Some still available.
So it's like a month out, just less than a month out.
Yep.
Crazy.
Okay, beautiful. So let's talk about what it is all about, who this is for, what they can expect on the other side of experiencing this, what brought it to life for you.
Yeah, so we'll start there.
Inspiration.
So the vision was, I think these were the years, but 2017 was having dinner with a bunch of girlfriends, and we were going around the table talking about what we thought success meant. And some women were talking about their $1 million years or their $1 million months, but I had this incredibly clairvoyant download. It was like me on stage in front of 1,000 women or more wearing this bright pink skirt that I've never seen before, getting a standing ovation, but not by something I had done. It was a collective thing. And like, oh, that's interesting. And I was like, my definition of success is a pink skirt. And I kind of put that on the shelf. Came back to it in 2019 when I was at an event in Palm Springs called the Alt Summit. So it's for like creatives and influencers, and part of it were fashion shows from designers. So I rolled up with my friend Ange. We went to this fashion show by a label called House of Perna, and Amanda Perna is the designer, and her stuff's very bright. So I have lots of pinks and blues, like bright, bright, bright stuff, and I love it. The first model that walks down the catwalk is wearing the pink skirt from my vision. And it was just like flowy and beautiful. And I was like, oh my God, that's it. Have I seen this before somewhere? No. So over the course of a couple years, my friends finally convinced me to buy the skirt. I get it. I look at it. I'm like, where am I going to wear this thing? Hang it in my closet. So it's facing out. Every time I walk in my closet, I see this skirt. I'm like, what is this? Like, I need to come up with a 10-year business plan around this pink skirt. What's going on? It turned into a mini documentary, to pitching Netflix and like working with producers to come up with this idea for a series. And I just knew in my gut that wasn't it.
Okay.
It's not that. And then it was all of these like the nudges from God saying, you got to do it. And then like the masculine being like, but how do I do like the P&L and how to project the sales for all this? No, just do it. The path will reveal itself every step of the way.
Yeah.
It's not like the whole thing is going to be in front of you. It's like, fine. So what is it? An event? Yes, it's an event. So I'm like, fine. I want to do it at this place called the Metro. So the Metro is this really cool hub in Kelowna that's like a church on the weekends and an event center during the week. And the cool thing about the church component of it, nonprofit, is that it invites people that are the unhoused to the multimillionaires that are sitting next to each other in the same space, having the same experience. We invested into some of the renovations to bring this to light that I knew it had to be there. So I march in and I meet Penny, this incredible woman named Penny. And I was like, I want theater style. Here's my vision for this. By the way, what is the capacity of the space? And remember, I've never done this before. And I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just going with the motions. And she's like, well, 350. I said, perfect. That's how many tickets I'm going to sell. Turned on my heels and walked out. Then when I went and shared this with my friends, they're like, that's quite a big event for your first time doing this. And I said, yeah, but God told me to do this. So I don't know. It's like, Jesus, take the wheel. We got this. And who was going to be there? I don't know. But again, everything was going to present itself. This is not the most strategic business advice, by the way. So if you're tuning in and being inspired by this, just know this is not the everything. I have many years of business experience. I've run successful agencies, sold my last agency. So I had an inkling of what to do.
Yeah.
And it has become a movement. And how I knew this is what it was the Pink Skirt Project, inviting women to come wearing a pink skirt It's for women who are entrepreneurs or even entrepreneurs that want to become stay-at-home moms. There's no direction that is right. It's just a safe space for women that want to come and be inspired and motivated and launch that next thing or ask those deep questions or have those crazy conversations with other people who have been there before. And then I'm like, come wearing the pink skirt. So then I'm like, people think it's an event. I'm like, no, it's not just an event. It's something else, but I don't know what it is yet. Of course, I have this like 18 million word conversation with ChatGPT about it. In those moments, I get a DM from a woman, and it's a picture of her wearing a pink skirt. And she messaged me. She's like, Renee, today's a really tough day. I have to go into this meeting with a bunch of dudes, and I got to present my thing. And I told myself I'm going to wear a pink skirt because I want to feel empowered. It's like a pink skirt moment. And I thought, that's it. It's the pink skirt moment. It's the armor you put on to go into those crazy situations. But the symbol of the pink skirt is really the collection of our stories, of our successes, our failures, of the friendships we make, of the travels we do, of the businesses that we've started or failed. And it's that armor we put on so we can go into any situation knowing I'm going to be safe here. Even if I fail at this, I'm going to be okay. And that's what it is. So the event, what's going to happen after the event, I don't know yet.
Something big.
Something big. We have killer speakers coming in. You happen to be at the water bottle of the founder of Glossy.
Yeah.
Lori Harder's a speaker. Jen Gottlieb, Jillian Harris. My husband's going to speak too. Like just some incredible people coming in because they see the vision too.
Totally.
And I'm living the emotions and the steps of how I want other women to show up, not knowing what's on the other side of the door or where the path's going to lead them, but just trusting that it's the right space. That's what it's all about.
How beautiful. How beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, already. I can already feel it.
Yeah.
I so deeply wish that I could be there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, cannot. But
and you have to wear a pink skirt. No, I'm just joking.
I would be able to get over that part. I love though how what kind of pivoted, like the biggest takeaway that I just took from that is how you walked into saying you had to redefine pink for yourself, and now the pink is actually the masculine almost. Like the pink is 100%. Your armor. The pink is your strength. The pink is what makes you strong and have the confidence to say, I'm going to tackle this.
You know that comic, it went viral years ago. It's kids going through their mom's closet. It's like, I think it's two little boys, and they're like, and the kid pulls out a cape. And the one kid goes, oh, I knew she was a superhero this whole time. Right? It's that feeling.
Yeah.
So the skirt's the cape.
I love
it's the armor. It's the parachute. It's the umbrella. It's all those things.
Well, on June 12th, I will be wearing a pink skirt down here in celebration of you.
I love it. I love it.
Beautiful. Where can people find tickets who are interested?
Go to thepinkskirtproject.com. It's all there.
Great.
And they can follow me on Instagram, Renee_Warren too.
Okay, beautiful. Reach out if they have any questions.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's talk a little bit. You mentioned it. And so I want to segue into you growing a massive 7-figure PR agency business and selling that.
Yeah.
Not just strategically, what was that like, but emotionally, what was that like? What made you realize it was time to let it go?
Oh my God. The time to let it go was I'm either going to sell this or close the doors. And I'm okay with whatever the outcome was. It was last year, 9 p.m., I was at my counter on my laptop pitching and following up and pitching and following up. And my husband walks down and he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm working. I got like 10 more pitches to do. And he goes, no, what are you doing? I said, I don't know. And I just started to cry. I go, because it wasn't for the money. It wasn't for the clients that I had. Love them, but I was not loving the work. And it was just constant. It's a grind. And the thing about being in PR, you live in your inbox.
Right.
You live in your inbox or on text message or WhatsApp, whatever. And here I am married to the guy who wrote Buy Back Your Time, who doesn't check his email. He's got teams and teams in place to do all that stuff. So I thought, is there any way of really growing a PR agency without having to be in your inbox? So yes, I started to train people. And the industry shifted, and I just didn't want to do the work to be that next version of PR. And then as soon as I was about to close the doors, someone else would come and I'd land a bigger deal. And I was like, okay, just, 6 more months or just another year. And finally at that moment at the kitchen counter, looking at my screen, I said, I'm done. I'm done. Tomorrow I'm going to fire these 2 clients and I'm going to make sure that they have everything they need. I'm going to complete these contracts and that's going to be it. Well, it wasn't maybe a month later that we have friends in from Denver. Her name's Claire Winslow, and a phenomenal human being. She's growing her agency and she goes, hey, it just so happens that we need a PR department. So how can we make this work? And I thought, oh, thank you, God. Wow. Thing about selling to a friend, and especially if you have the same kind of values, it's so easy. It took 7 months, but I created their PR department. I trained their team. I got them clients. I created that momentum for them. And the last couple months have been fully stepped out of it, which has been so good.
And so you're finally able to focus on allowing space for things like the Pink Skirt Project to finally come through.
I would not have been able to do otherwise.
Yeah.
And even being with my kids, we're homeschooling them now while we're here, and we're world schooling them next year. But even before I came here, I was playing baseball with them outside. I wouldn't have been able to do this before.
Right.
And we were just they were in the hot tub. I went outside with my coffee and I was just hanging out with them in the hot tub. I didn't have those moments when they were so young because the 2 years that I was pregnant or having them, I was growing my agency, traveling the world. Dan was closing deals, raising money for a startup. So it never worked out. And now I'm they remember these days and I want to be there for them.
Yeah. Yeah. I cannot tell you how strongly I relate to every piece of what you just shared. I know our audience here knows my entire story, but I just sold my business in December and it was a massive, massive struggle for me to let it go.
Really?
And every piece of what you just described of fighting and those moments of crying over it and then you almost feel a little bit guilty because you've built something that some people only dream of, but yet it's not something that fulfills you. But in order to fully close that door, you have to do that. And almost grieve that as well to allow there to be space for what is next for you to come in. And that's really scary for a lot of people, especially if it's unknown and there's no stability and we don't know exactly what that's going to look like or maybe where the money's going to come from. I don't know what your situation was like, but it can be really scary to close a door on a dream that at once was everything you wanted. And then you did it and you built it. And that was an old version of you. And now you're ready for Renee 3.0.
Yeah. And 10.0.
Right.
I feel like I need to skip a couple levels there.
Here we go.
Yeah. Money aside, it's I was just delaying the inevitable because I knew I wasn't going to be in it forever. And we were in a great financial position. And I don't have to work, which I love. But also, that's just not who I am.
Right.
Because I have a mission, a purpose. If you think about the things you naturally do when you have all the free time, that's what you're passionate about. So I'm gravitating towards the Pink Skirt Project, just keep coming back to that in my podcast. So I couldn't not do nothing. But it wasn't in PR. And I'd been in the industry for 13 years. I've seen the shift. And it landed in a beautiful home. And I think everybody's happy with what happened. And now I have the experience to do this for myself, the PR wisdom to do it for myself, for friends. I have friends hit me up all the time. And I was yeah, I'll help you out, whatever you need.
Yeah.
But it's just not a business that I would run, even the agency world.
Yeah. But you can now in an entirely different way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Where's the book at? Get covered?
Well, that was published in 2017, self-published, and we're actually writing an updated version now.
Okay.
Because it's still relevant. I have clients before I closed the door, sold the business, that bought it, read it, then hired me. They're we tried to do this for 2 weeks. We couldn't, but it's it's still super helpful. But we're writing an updated version now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so still very much alive. How to pitch, craft, and tell your startup story to get more customers. Okay, amazing. What was the process of writing a book like for you? I'm in the early stages of writing mine.
God, we did it wrong. So at the time, this was back in 2016, we had an incredible blog for our business. This is my last agency. And it had, I don't know, we were getting like thousands and thousands of visits, and we had an email list that was growing. People loved the content of our blog. And I said, well, if we could just categorize all the content and then put them into chapters, then we can just use the content from our blog to write a book.
Okay.
And so we started that.
Okay.
Sure, it could make sense on some level.
Right.
But to actually create a PR process that goes from like point A to Z, you can't do it that way.
Okay.
So we spent a year trying to like piecemeal together blog posts and it just, anyways, we had to scrap the whole thing and start over. To like, what we did was essentially took our process that we bring our clients through in detail, and we gave everything away. And we wrote case studies and examples of what we did to actually get people the media coverage, like really great media coverage. And some of that stuff doesn't work anymore.
Right.
Just because of the shift of the industry, but
hence the rewrite.
Yeah, but I will say this, and also just like a sidebar is that Chandler Bolt, I don't know if you know, he's local.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've seen him speak. He was speaking at an internet marketing party a few years ago, and
Probably.
I got a copy of his book and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so he runs self-publishing school.
Yep.
And he brings people through the entire process. But the way that I see it is, if you, as a personal brand, want to be known for something, stand for something, writing a book is the ultimate resume.
Okay.
Like, you have to do it. And
now you guys heard it here.
Yes. And now with all these platforms like selfpublishing.com and whatnot, it's easier to get it out there.
Right. Beautiful. I will have lots of questions for you. I'm in the middle of gathering all of the stories.
We end up putting way too much into our books than we think. Like the average book's 40,000 words?
Right.
We think, God, how am I going to get to 40,000 words? And once you get writing,
it's a lot.
It's like 100,000 words.
Yeah, especially for podcasters, right? For people who like to talk, we have a lot of stories, a lot of experiences. We hear a lot of stories. There's just a lot to share.
Yeah.
And so mine is, how do I consolidate that into not because no one actually cares about Cassandra's story, but how do I turn that into something that they can see their story and my story?
Yeah.
And so it's very much
you just have to make it succinct. Like there's a lot of stuff that you think's important to be in there, and it's just not.
Yes.
Like they won't.
I preach that all day long. Even in something as simple as a reel you're going to share.
Yeah.
If it's not about you, why does your audience care to hear this?
That is a really great point.
Yeah.
And when you frame it that way, it's not about you. It actually makes it easier to create that content.
Totally. Yep. Yeah. And speak on camera. One of the things that I teach a lot of people how to do now is get your voice out there. And I'm terrified to speak to this thing. I'm like, who's there?
Yeah.
Who's behind the screen right now? Nobody. But what if you think about the person who you're impacting or the lives that you get to change, right?
That's it. And every time I wanted to shut down my podcast, literally every single time, I'm like, today's the day I'm going to go delete. I get a message, Renee, this show changed my life. And I'm like, okay, thanks God, we'll keep going.
Yeah.
And it's been 5 years now.
Yeah. Beautiful segue to talk about the show.
Yeah.
Into the Wild.
Into the Wild.
And one of the questions you asked me on the show, which I could not have loved more because I just finished running Wild Women Rising Retreat at the time, was, what is a wild woman to you?
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you, what inspired Into the Wild, that name for you?
So Into the Wild is really, think about like becoming a mother, because it's going into the unknown. Everything is going into the unknown. Starting a business, you're going into the unknown. But when you're going into the wild, you're thinking, I'm signed up for this. Like I'm doing this on purpose. I'm intentional about things being a little bit crazy, knowing that it is, no matter what you do, in marriage, in a partnership, in business, in writing a book. You don't ever know what the outcome's going to be. Mm-hmm. You hope things will go a certain way. So Into the Wild was really about that reflection of like motherhood and entrepreneurship and how things get a little crazy. But the word wild, and now because I've asked this probably 280 times, the most common word that comes up when I ask a woman what it means to be a wild woman is to be unapologetic. And isn't it crazy that wild means kind of freedom, but how we still think we have to apologize for being who we are and apologize for asking for the things that we want or the freedom that we want.
Expressing the way we want.
Yeah.
That's what comes up.
I'm really hoping that in the next 3 to 5 years, it's not, oh, I'm sorry that I want this, or I'm sorry that I want that trip or that car or this husband or that baby. No, you want it because you want it. Mm-hmm. You don't have to apologize for that. Mm-hmm. That's what Into the Wild's about.
Beautiful. Amazing. Available on all of your traditional platforms?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're not quitting.
I'm not.
Okay.
No, you're like, here.
You're like, every time I think about shutting it down, I'm like, please don't do that.
Oh, well, I'll tell you one story. I don't know what happened. So we had a dupe of the show on Spotify. So the way I'm determining that when we actually launched the show originally, somehow it duplicated itself on Spotify.
Oh.
I didn't know this for years because I wasn't the one publishing to those platforms. It was my team. And then something came up where they noticed that there was like 500 reviews here and 400 reviews there. The show was up there twice. So we did some research and some best practices. We didn't want to confuse people. So we thought, well, we'll just delete one of the shows. Well, that causes your rankings to tank. And yeah, so we used this platform at the time called Listen Notes. And that's kind of how we assessed the validity of our show growth. And I was at like the top 1.5% for so long. And my goal was 1% in that year. And when we deleted the Spotify thing, we went back to the top 2.5%. Like I lost it. Like it's one of the very few times that I cried, that like deep core crying. And I walked into the bathroom and I was like, F this. And I was so mad. I was like, I'm done. I'm quitting. And I always do this in these moments. I turn to the sky and I put my hands up. I'm like, God, what's the lesson here? And then I walked away. And sure enough, the next month it like corrected itself. And I pressed refresh and I was sitting at the table with my girlfriend. So there was Callan Faulkner, Stephanie Wigner, Kinsey Mackis. These were women that came to the top of the mountain with me. We called the Mountaintop Mastermind. They were coming in from Wisconsin and Utah, maybe Jersey, and across Canada. And I was telling them the story. And they're like, what's the platform? Like, Listen Notes. So they're like, Renee, check my podcast on the shows. Because I use this for pitching. So I was checking their shows and I was telling them everything. And they're like, have you checked your show lately? I said, no, I don't want to check my show. No. So I'm like, Into the Wild, search. And I waited and it loaded. And I was like, the fuck? What? The top 1%. And I got to celebrate with those girls. I was like, I knew it. So I'm still there. Now I got to get to the top 0.5%.
Congratulations. It's huge.
Yeah. But it's like one of those things, like podcasting is so interesting. It's like, it's a grind. It's a grind. It's
commitment,
like consistent.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Here you are.
Yeah. This is my place to tell those true raw stories and be so open and be so vulnerable and remove the armor of like the perfect everything, the way people see you on social media and like, I want this and I want that. And I'm like, well, let me tell you the truth about what happened to get me there.
Yeah. And
bring on other people to share those stories as well, to double echo on it, because it's so easy to see everyone's highlight reel on social media. And,
I try to be really authentic.
This is a really good segue
about my journey, because I know there's a lot of people that they have like the ugly side of their story.
Yes.
And they put the polished version online all the time because that's the perception they want to give.
Right. And I guess what that does.
Right. It's very inauthentic. Not to shame them, but I try to be as authentic as possible. Some days I have great hair. Some days I have great makeup.
Yep.
Most of the time not.
Right.
And that's okay.
Yeah. I think that's so important for people listening to hear that. It was a question I had recently from someone in one of my containers is, I really want to start showing the vulnerable side, but I don't really know how to do that without like trauma dumping or just coming out with all of the messiness. And I'm like, but the beauty is actually in the mess. Like you've heard the mess is in the message or whatever that expression is.
Yeah.
I truthfully myself feel more powerful and more in alignment and have expanded my business and all of my opportunities and all of my relationships that don't just feel surface level anymore, but they feel like they have depth. The second I stopped wearing that armor of perfection and I have it all figured out and I started sharing what I'm actually experiencing and how I'm actually feeling, but hey, here's how I'm dealing with it. Here's how the tools of how I'm going to get through this. And this is, people will be like, well, I want to know what a typical day in your life looks like. And I'm like, okay, like
no, you don't.
Like
it's very boring.
It is nothing fancy. It's nothing fancy at all. Like I don't know what you think we do. We wake up at like 5 a.m. and I'm in an ice bucket or whatever all these people tell you to do. I don't do any of that.
Yeah,
it's just
wake up in an ice bucket. That would be jarring. Probably great for my hot flashes, though. I will say that.
Right.
Well, then there are people like I will bring my husband Dan back into this, who is so to his schedule. Like he has the 5 a.m. wake up, read his book,
Works for him.
visualize, create his frameworks. Like that really exists. He does that. I don't. Sometimes I do. And I watch it and I think, this is so fascinating because I just don't operate like that. However, I can see in like a 360-degree vision of everything that needs to be done in the house. Every place the kids need to be, that I need to be. I know where the ketchup is, the spare ketchup is. I know where the extra pair of running shoes are. Like the stuff that we just know.
Right.
Dan walked into the laundry room one day. This was not that long ago. We've lived in this house for 4 years. And he goes, he comes back out, so which one's the washer? And I looked at him, I go, you're joking, right? Like they look similar, but you can figure it out.
Right.
And I laughed and I go, because that's not where he spends his time.
Totally.
And so,
Yep.
So now I can say the story. It's funny. But I will say in those moments of great progress in business and progress in health, I did have a routine. I did.
Okay.
I used to do CrossFit 6 days a week. I competed at competitions. Like that required you to be in the gym once or twice a day or a week. Yeah, a day. And that was a lot of discipline. And I'm not in that season, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You're in baby growing season.
Yeah. Yeah. An entirely different season.
That's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
You will gravitate back to the things you know worked for you. And it's not the ice baths.
Nope. It's interesting. I've talked about this a couple of times, but I've received some very interesting messages when I announced that I was pregnant. Mostly from people that follow me who I don't know what they think that I do or who I am, but it's almost like they were saddened and disappointed that they thought it was going to stop me from where I'm headed. Like they're like, oh my God, but you're building and you're doing this and like all of these things. Like, oh my God, so now you're just going to be a mom?
Oh.
And it was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like I'm truly so sorry that you have that belief that it's one or the other, that it can't be both. What that's going to look like for me is going to be different than it looked like for you. It's going to be different than it looked like for somebody else. It's going to be the way that my partner and I have decided to make that work and what feels true for me. Or people that were like, well, you can kiss traveling goodbye. I mean, you're a living example of...
Yeah, no, we're here for a month. My kids are in public and private school.
Yeah.
Max's first trip, he was 2 months old and we went across the continent.
Yeah.
So I think the people who've made the most progress in anything were those that were just okay in defying the odds and saying, yeah, just because this is the way it's always been done it's not the way it's going to work.
To be.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, and Dan would bring Max when he was 2 months old to investor meetings. Like he was trying to raise money for Clarity and he was bringing newborn babies into the boardroom.
Right.
And he would like plunk the thing down on the boardroom table. The investors would hold the baby.
Oh.
It's like, this is
humans.
life.
They're humans.
It's integration.
Yeah.
It works. We have a rule in our house that if we're recording any show, doing anything, if you happen to come in and interrupt, you have to go on the video.
Okay.
So it's a cameo.
Okay.
And I remember one time Dan was on a call with Tony Robbins and his team. And I knocked on the door and I could hear he's like, come in. And
no.
Oh no, I got to go be on the video. And I was like, hello. And then I walked away. So I think when we look at the way business was done in like the 90s and early 2000s, it's just not the way it is now.
Yeah.
And you can make it whatever you want. You can still be serious and have a newborn baby in the room with you.
Yeah. Thank you for that reminder.
Oh, yeah.
For any other woman or anyone listening to this.
Like your little nugget could be here now.
He will be.
Yeah.
He will probably be on a lot of these episodes.
There you
with
go.
Me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just it's an entirely different season for me, but a place that I feel like so honored, first of all, to have the ability, because so many women don't. So thank you for that, God. But also that I have been in the hustle and I have done all of these things to build my businesses to a place that now I get to truly pause and be a very present mom. It makes me so emotional to like be in a place where I truly have the space that I can be a mom. And I don't have to do any of these things, but I also get to. And I can go out to a keynote speech and he can come with me.
Yeah.
And I can go to a podcast studio or meet people and I can do these things, and events is my passion as well, and speaking and podcasting. What's
crazy too in all this is I know this feeling of wanting to come back to a village. And there's more men putting on these events that have little kids that want to integrate that. And there's more women now hosting these events too that know that babies are going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the suspicion that people actually want that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was so like, you can't bring the baby, you can't bring the kids because it doesn't mix with business. No, and we're going to change that narrative.
Yeah.
And I do believe that people want, like, can you, like, you know what it's like when there's like a new baby or like little kids in a room.
New life. Yeah.
You just, something in you kind of lights up because it's the innocence. They're the ones that are closest to God.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a gentle reminder, like, they have no clue what's going on. Nor do we.
Yeah.
But they're the most pure, innocent. And I think we need to break down those walls of how we should do business. I mean, if we can bring our dogs to work, why can't we bring our babies to work?
Right. Yeah. Just totally redefining all of it.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I cannot believe that it's almost been an hour. So I would love to wrap things up with, this is kind of how we always end the show, is like, if you maybe even need to take a minute, close your eyes, whatever it is that you need to do, and like really tune into young version of Renee. Maybe you were a young child, maybe it was your teens, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
If there was something that you could say back to her, the woman that you are today, knowing everything that you know today, and also kind of bringing in that woman who's like 10 steps behind you, who watches this right now and thinks like, wow.
Yeah.
What do you have to say to her?
Well, that woman is the 18-year-old version of me.
Okay.
Who a few years prior to that was sitting in her English class and realized that her eyesight was going. She couldn't see far away, so she couldn't see the chalkboard. I'm dating myself, but in high school, the English teacher was writing on the chalkboard. And I was trying to take notes, but I couldn't see it. I figured I'll just copy from a friend later. I actually started writing the vision of my life. And I wanted to own a advertising agency in Manhattan. And I wanted to have 2 kids, a husband, a dog, a white picket fence. Like that's the dream. And I got some of that. Not the white picket fence. They're not cool anymore anyway. And if I could leave her with any advice, is that there's one muscle that she should keep flexing and building, is the muscle of discipline. Because that's the only thing that's going to make you great. If that's meaning you want to get on the podium at a CrossFit competition, if you want to make your first $1 million year, $1 million month, have great friends like you can't get there without discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody owes you anything. So I would tell her that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say it's going to get rocky and you're going to get your heart broken. But guess what? Just like that Japanese idea of, was it kintsugai? Where when the pottery breaks, they glue it back together with gold and it actually makes it more beautiful and stronger. And my heart is full of gold. It's lots of gold. So the tool of discipline is the thing that's going to get you through.
Amazing. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I truly feel like anything is possible if so many people are scared of failure or fear it. And it's like, that's the lesson, is through all of that and persevering through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely a lot in the fitness space. I see you sharing all of that stuff too, and just like so dedicated and devoted to what you do. So thank you for being that example for other women. Where can people get a hold of you? I know we talked about the Pink Skirt Project, but let's leave them with that. What's the best way to get a hold of you for anyone who wants to reach out and say hi?
Instagram, Renee_Warren. And they can also tune in to Into the Wild.
Absolutely.
I'm in pink on the cover.
And maybe they will be too.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Hope you enjoy the rest of your stay in Austin.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Well, friends, that is all that we have for you for today. I hope that you enjoyed this episode and that you truly were able to tune into a bit of wisdom. As always, a savage will get knocked down, but they will never stay there. They will always get back up. Peace out, friends.